that's happening in Azimio after Kalonzo threatened to quit, will it have any impact within the coalition?
Well, it would be desirable to have Kalonzo in Azimio because that says that the Kombani vote is locked for the bloc. Because Ngilu is in, Kevuda is in, most of the leadership in Lower Eastern is in. Kalonzo is still in Azimio because that agreement says you cannot get out of it 6 months before the election or even 3 months after the election. The reason for that is because in the event of a runoff, you cannot then pledge your allegiance to the other formation. So I believe Kalonzo is in Azimio to stay voluntarily. He's not being forced by anyone. I also know the principals in Azimio have agreed in principle. If he should want to quit or to run as a presidential candidate on a Wiper ticket, they have no problem with that. And I am told, he has been told as much. So, as far as we're concerned, he's in Azimio to stay. As far as I'm concerned, he's free to run. But remember, Kalonzo went to Jacaranda and he said he's supporting Raila Amolo Odinga for the third time, unconditionally. Meaning he had no condition to support Raila. So to try and say he's going to run away from Azimio because he was not named as Raila's running mate, despite his sense of entitlement, he must be honest with himself and with the Kenyans whom he told he's happy to support Raila Odinga unconditionally.
So, by the fact that he wants out, you're saying that he cannot do that before 6 months, 6 months before
to the election, yeah,
3 months after.
After.
How is that going to pan out? Because does that mean that his political career is a question, and again, it might be over for him?
Here you're dealing with the legal. That's the legal position. There is also the political. And politically, because this is a coalition of the willing, if he's not willing to remain in the coalition, the other coalition partners are quite happy to let him have his way. One Kenya Alliance, in fact, remember, they made us change from Azimio La Umoja to Azimio One Kenya to accommodate the One Kenya Alliance. Now, remember, the One Kenya Alliance had people like Martha Karua. It had people like Gideon Moi. It had people like Cyrus Jirongo. You know, it's had Musalia Mudavadi. It even had Moses Wetangula. Now, those two have gone to Kenya Kwisha. These are the three have stuck with Azimio. So it's really up to him. In fact, Mother Karua comes from the One Kenya Alliance. So technically, One Kenya Alliance has been given their fair share in this arrangement to produce the running mate. It does not have to be Kalonzo Musyoka.
And again, what do you make of the idea that the other team, the Kenya Kwanza Alliance, is courting Kalonzo to work with them to join their outfit?
Anybody would do. This is politics. Politics is about numbers. And yes, if they think they can get Kalonzo onto their side, obviously it makes their work easier. Right now, the contest in Ukambani would be between Ruto and Raila Amolo Odinga, depending on what side Kalonzo is on. But if he decides to run, then Kalonzo also now becomes another factor. Kalonzo running it alone realistically cannot win this election. You need more than just your own community to win this election. In 2007, if Kalonzo had decided to stick with either or, Mwai Kibaki or Raila Amolo Odinga, probably would not have had the dispute that led to the post-election violence. The result would have been beyond doubt, beyond contest. If he had put his weight with Raila, the Kibaki side would not have contested it. If you had put it with Kibaki, the result would have been done. So to a certain extent, although he much later came to help us resolve the post-election violence, primarily it was him standing alone which caused that undecided outcome, which caused the post-election violence. All right? The other part of your question was?
The kind of impact it's going to have.
Well, it's really been a beneficiary of Katikati. In 2002, when the result was not conclusive, he ended up becoming the vice president. As soon as this 2017 election, his son is a member of the East African Legislative Assembly. So almost every other time he benefits from those outcomes. But the question is about his people, his community, and his people feeling like they've been out of government now for the last 2 elections. In fact, 3, if it was not for the accommodation of the Grand Coalition government. And the people of Lower Eastern, they want to feel that they are part of this government. So it's up to them, really. But we know he has a following in Ukambani. But he has also got to make a decision where he wants to be part of the winning side or not. The Kenya Kwanza people would really like to have him on board. Remember, they were actually pushing us to name Kalonzo to be Raila's running mate. It was interesting to see them saying how Kalonzo should not even go for the interviews for deputy president running mate for Raila Odinga. Ruto himself went for an interview for the UDA presidential ticket. You remember that young girl they disqualified and the other young men? He went to an interview. There are photos, there are statements from UDA about Ruto himself, the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya, going for an interview. And they were busy saying Kalonzo should not go to the Azimio interviews, that is demeaning of him. So it is demeaning for Kalonzo and not demeaning for the deputy president. They were pushing us to have Kalonzo as our running mate because they knew if they picked from Mount Kenya and we picked from Mount Kenya, it's a tectonic shift. Right now, the battle for the mountain is no longer about Ruto and Raila. It's about Rigathi, Gachagua, and Martha Karua. And the people of Mount Kenya are asking themselves, who can best represent our interests in the next dispensation now that Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta is not on the ballot? And they are finding between Rigathi and Martha Karua, the fighter for the community, the protector for the community, the person who can best take care of their interests is Martha Karua. And these guys knew that. That's why they were trying to push Kalonzo for us. We never, ever attempted to suggest to them who they can make their running mate. But they were very busy scheming to have us make Kalonzo the running mate in Azimio. Have you ever had your competitor fielding for you who to play in the game? Interesting. Yeah?
And then again on this the position that he was offered, the chief minister just came in later just to lure him. What can you tell us about that?
No, Kalonzo has options. Let me tell you. Government, there are 3 arms of government. There's the executive, there's the legislature, and there's the judiciary. The position of the executive has gone. It has gone to Raila Amolo Odinga. The position of the judiciary has gone to Martha Koome. The only position left in the 3 arms of government is the legislature, which, by the way, incidentally, is the most powerful arm of government because it is parliament that makes the law. It is parliament that gives budgets and budgetary support and allocations to the other 2 arms of government. So even for a government to execute its agenda, you have to be friendly to parliament. You have to be able to persuade parliament. So if I was asked, if I was Kalonzo, I would take the 3rd arm of government. The Speaker of the National Assembly, which incidentally has not been allocated by either formations. Azimio has not proposed anyone, and Kenya Kwanza have not proposed anyone. that position today, in the absence of the president and the deputy president, the speaker becomes president. That is the law. That is the constitution of the Republic of Kenya. These are the positions which they are offering. Musalia, I don't know, even this one of Kalonzo, does not exist in the law.
The chief minister.
The position of the chief minister does not exist in the law. It was to be created in the BBI, which they opposed. Now they are busy using the same structures in the BBI, when they went around saying that BBI was about creating positions for leaders. It was Kenya Kwisha, which started by allocating those portfolios. Now, you can have a chief minister the way Matiang'i is today, but he has to be a minister first. So you make him a minister in charge of coordination of national government affairs, so he's a rank above the other ministers. But a chief minister position per se does not exist. But you can give somebody a portfolio and then give him the added work of coordinating the other ministers, which then clearly would not be in conflict with the roles of the deputy president. Because the deputy president is the principal assistant to the president. When the president is not there, they are the president. But this so-called chief minister, that is what I would be calling Matiang'i now, where all the ministers sit, they process, their PSAs sit, they process, this up and down of memos and what is not there. Once they are done, by the time they go to cabinet, everything has been agreed.
So in a layman's language, you're saying Kalonzo must be the CS, the cabinet minister, for him to now be...
He has to have a portfolio, a cabinet portfolio, in order for him to become a chief minister. There is no such a position, either in Azimio or in Kenya Kwisha. And that is why I'm told Musalia might be their minister for finance. And then over and above that, he would become that chief minister. Yeah.
And as we wind up, before he takes over, how is Raila and Karua ticket doing in Mount Kenya? And why is it that the president is not showing up for the rally?
Oh no. The president has done his bit. He has been the chair of the Azimio La Umoja Council. This council has all the leadership of the constituent parties. Remember, we have more than 26 political parties in the Azimio. Not everybody can sit on it. And that one also has a neck. Now, the party leader of Azimio La Umoja and the flag bearer is Raila Amolo Odinga. The president sits at the chair of the council, all right? But now that we have a ticket, now that we have a candidate, now that we have a running mate, it is up to them to go and campaign now. The president has to keep off. The president has to be above. Now he becomes head of state. You see, the president is both head of state and head of government. He's head of government when he's Uhuru, the head of a political party. He's head of state in charge of all of them. Either you're in government or you're in the opposition, he is the head of state. Now, that's the distinction people need to appreciate. That you don't expect Uhuru to be on top of a Land Rover or of a truck campaigning for one side against the other side. But he has pronounced himself about his preference and why he prefers Raila Amolo Odinga to William Samoei Ruto. He has a democratic right to express himself and to pronounce himself. He has done that. But surely you don't expect him to hit the ground. And that is why now you find it is Martha and Raila. As we are talking today, they were both in Narok. They are the ones on the ticket. Uhuru is not on the ticket. Uhuru is going home in the next 80 days, 80-something days, 85. All right? But he has to oversee a peaceful transition, a peaceful election. He now has to step into his shoes of president and commander-in-chief. In that situation, he cannot go out there campaigning. But he can express himself. If he's opening a road in Loitoktok, he can appeal to the Wataveta. Remember, these are our projects. in order for continuity for some of these projects and programs, I ask you to support my choice. My choice is so and so. Because these Kenyakwisha people had made this election about Uhuru. It was like it's Uhuru they were competing against. They are fighting Raila Amolo Odinga and Martha Wangari Karua. Let them focus on their competitors. Uhuru is not their competitor. Uhuru is going home. But Uhuru needs to know who is he leaving behind. And quite clearly he has pronounced himself.
And my last question, well on that still, when you're the president,
Yes.
the team is taking over now.
Yeah.
What kind of influence will he have? Because people argue that he will still be calling the shots in the next administration.
How?
If Raila wins.
How?
And what if, just in case, Kenya Kwanza wins the election, how is the transition going to be?
He will hand over the instruments of power to Kenya Kwanza. Boy, it's not Kenya Kwanza, it's Kenyakwisha. He will hand over. He is constitutionally required to hand over to the winner. All right? He has expressed himself. He has pronounced himself. For those of us who listen to him and who believe in him and who believe in his vision, a lot of our people who believe in him will most probably agree with him. All right? But that is not to say Uhuru is going to hang around after August 9, unless there is a runoff. Then he'll still have to be president until a new president is sworn in. But I can assure you this election will be so decisive, there will be no need for a runoff. Whether people go to the Supreme Court or whatever, there will be no panic. All right? And Uhuru will gracefully hand over power. You see, the democratic institutions of this country are becoming more and more mature. Every 5 years, we do an election. Moi goes home. Every 5 years, we do an election. Kibaki goes home. Now, Uhuru will be the only surviving former president of the Republic of Kenya. All the others have died. So, he will still have that elevated position. He might have other roles globally, regionally, regional integration, African integration. Like now, he's just coming from Davos, the World Economic Forum. So, it's not like he will not have a job to do, but he definitely will never interfere in the running and management of the government of the Republic of Kenya after August 9. There is nothing that stops Uhuru from being the party leader of Jubilee for eternity. As long as the delegates vote for him. And by the way, he had just secured for himself a 5-year term. You remember the last National Delegate Conference? The delegates elected him as the party leader for the next 5 years. That's the Jubilee Party Constitution, 5 years. All right? I believe Uhuru will want to grow that party. And remember, even the transition from Nyayo in Kanu, it took more like 3.5 to 4 years to let go of Kanu and leave it to the contest between Uhuru, Nicholas Biwott, Gideon Moi, and all the others. So he's not about to go anywhere as far as the party is concerned. If anything, Uhuru is going to build this party. Remember, we had an issue of trying to kick out the renegades from Jubilee. Remember Ruto saying, mulinifuata mukanifukuza ODM, hamwezi mukanifuata mukanitoa Jubilee. So we have removed him. See, ameenda. Now, we said the next phase is to remove him from Mount Kenya. That's where we are. All right? And Jubilee will be the party of choice for Mount Kenya region. It's a national party. But the days when a national party went from the shores of Lake Victoria to Mombasa, to northern Kenya and Loitoktok, they're finished. People are looking at their regional and community interests. Unfortunately for us, our diaspora is all over the country. So you'll find Jubilee in Eldoret, you'll find it in Mombasa, you'll find it in Ukambani. We are running the governor in Kitui. You know that. Yes, former PC Musila, former chair of ODM Kenya. We have a very strong team in northern Kenya, in Jubilee. Wajir, Mandera, Garissa, Isiolo, Samburu. We have a very strong presence throughout the republic. And I can assure you, Uhuru's next job and preoccupation is to build this party, because it was hemorrhaged by UDA, who came in and went away, arising out of the marriage of TNA and URP. They have done a hemorrhaging of the Jubilee. So he will have his plate, his hands full, to rebuild Jubilee nationally. And more importantly, for this election, Jubilee will be the party for Mount Kenya and the diaspora.
Yeah, I think you have answered the next question which I wanted to ask regarding the presence in other parts of the country.
We are everywhere. We have a very strong team in Bungoma, yes. Kina Waluke and Company. We have a very strong team in Western, Kina Eugene Wamalwa and Company. They are our partners, although they are in DAP. We have people like Dalmos Otieno wanting to run in Migori for governor under Jubilee ticket. Our candidates in Kajiado for governor are winning. Our candidates in Narok, Kina Olekenta, they are winning. I mean, if you look at the landscape of this country, Jubilee is going to emerge as one of the strongest parties, and that partnership, primarily between Jubilee and ODM, will form the majority in Parliament.
Yeah, you mentioned about Jubilee fronting David Musila. Does that mean, if you can confirm, that Gilu is not going to defend her seat?
Gilu is in NAC. Gilu is not in Jubilee. Whether she runs or not,
she's in Azimio.
She's in Azimio, fine. Look, you have been told there is no mapping. There is no zoning as far as Azimio is concerned. What is happening is an understanding among parties. Like Nairobi, we have agreed severally. If we run, an ODM runs, or another Azimio member runs, it gives an opportunity for UDA or Kenya Kwisha to win. We discuss and agree, compromise. Even there, we will discuss and agree. There are areas where we will field Azimio jointly in agreement with the other partners, all right? But there is no zoning. As far as the program for Azimio is concerned, there isn't. But there are areas where, you know, if you run and I run and they run, UDA or Kenya Kwisha will take the seat. You sit back and agree and negotiate. That is happening all the time. Now, the beauty about voting for the president and voting for the MP and voting for the senator, your numbers in parliament matter for the prosecution of the agenda of your government in the legislation, in the legislative agenda, in passing the bills of that government, which will help you to actualize your manifesto. Because every party is going into this election with campaign pledges and campaign manifestos. You want them to be translated into legislation so that you have the enabling law to allow you to do that. So you need the numbers in the House. And that is why you may want to talk about partnerships and cooperation, but the Jubilee Coalition Party will go into Parliament as the Jubilee Coalition Party. Whether you're coming from Jubilee, whether you're coming from Wiper, whether you're coming from Gilu's party or any partner party, DAP, etc. When we go in there, we are going in as Azimio, and we will execute the same agenda. And that is why all of these people are going to be included in the Jubilee top tier.
Good.
Okay now?
Perfecto. Sasa